Well, thanks for joining me today. My name is Jonah Clement for those of you that are new to the channel, and I actually wanted to dive in today discussing the concept of free will and really just wanted to break it down for everyone here. I know everybody has their own understanding of what it is, but I'm just going to share what my personal understanding of it is. Not just from a biblical context, but from many different facets and things that I've read and synthesized over time. So to kick it off, just wanted to talk about what it is. So first off, it's really there's a lot of aspects of free will, but I kind of boil it down to three main things. The first is your choice of beliefs, which is nobody has the right or to tell you what you believe, what you think. That is entirely up to you. It's something unique to you. So you have your birthright. One of your birthrights is literally the ability to think and believe what you want. And it's not saying it's right or wrong. It just is. Next is, I would say, is the choice of your actions and decisions. This is probably what most of us think about with free will. We have the choice to determine what path we want to take in life, the decisions that we make, rather than like saying that you are that choice. You're the awareness of that choice. So you have the decision. So like, for example, let's say you're wanting to go to the gym. You wake up in the morning, but you're like super tired. You have the decision to, just continue getting up and, going out the door and going to the gym, or you can just go right back to sleep. At that moment in time, or at that moment, you have free will to determine if you want to go to the gym or not. And there isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer. It's just you need to choose a path at that point in time. And that's where the whole multiverse theory and a lot of these, infinite realities and infinite universe theories kind of come from, is that with every moment, there's literally a decision that you make. You're making infinite decisions over the span of your life, in essence. And every moment, these decisions stack on top of each other and form a path and branch off in different ways. So leading to that, there's, in my understanding, there's millions of Jonahs, there's millions of you, and infinite, really, not millions, infinite numbers of you, because in every decision there's an opposite decision. So if you decided, let's say, to go to the gym, there would be a version of you that decided not to go to the gym. There would be infinite versions of you on both ends of the spectrum. So that leads me to my third thing, which is, I think, honestly, the most important aspect of free will, and it's choice of perception. So I'm a proponent that perception is reality. The way that you view the world is basically how the world is going to be look back at you. So if you live in fear, for example, you're gonna see a world filled with fear. If you live in love, for example, and you view the world through the lens of love, you're gonna see a world full of love and love coming back to you. If you live in a world full of logic, and that's how you view the world, is world through logic, the world is gonna seem logical to you and that's what's gonna make sense. So I believe truly that perception is reality. And if you actually are interested in this concept and want to know a little bit more, I have another video that I made. It's called The Map of Consciousness. I'm kind of understanding the hierarchy of consciousness, and I highly recommend that. It kind of dives into that into more detail. It's still off the cuff, but it's definitely recommended if you are interested in the concept of perception as reality, which is kind of one of the main tenets here that I try to instill and teach people. So last thing I wanted to say in regards to like what is free will. The cool thing is it's actually very unique to human beings. We are actually, so I am also a proponent that there are millions of species and other types of beings out there in the universe and beyond this universe and in all the realms. Free will is unique to humans in the fact that we get to make a choice in what we do with our lives, how we live it, our beliefs, our perceptions, and all of that. It's not necessarily something that's universal with all other aspects of life. Just because when certain higher forms of consciousness are reached and things like that, there really isn't a way to have free will, because when you're completely aligned with God, you basically already know the right decision to make, or the decision that's aligned with God. So that's kind of the beauty about it, because we are allowed, in essence, to make our own mistakes. We get to mess up. We get to do right. We get to do things that align with God. We get to do things that don't necessarily align with Him. And the beautiful part is that you get to learn from that, and that also kind of bolsters your free will and awareness as you get older and as you age to this body, and as you eventually move on into your next form. So this actually kind of now I want to discuss kind of something that is, I think, kind of in common society today, really speaking about, if anybody's ever read the book The Art of Not Giving an F, it's a fantastic read. It's not for everybody, but I do think you should maybe at least try giving it a perusal. It's really, really knowledgeable on kind of understanding like the things that we can and can't control within our lives. So funny enough, we can only really control about 1% of the world around us. There's like 99% of things that we have no control over in any capacity. It's just like basically like how people perceive you. If somebody likes you or not, certain things that happen to you in your life, you have no control over. One example for me that I'll present is, so when I was 13, my mother passed away of cancer. We actually got, right before she passed away, a week before, they actually informed us that she was in remission, the cancer was in remission, yet a week later she literally just passed away. And I unfortunately had to witness the entirety of that, which was not great, but it also is completely out of my control. And funny enough, I wish I had this book at that time. I don't even know if it was written at that point in time. It was back in 2007 when she passed. But really at that time, kind of understand that I can only control 1% of things. Like the survivability of cancer of my mother was something completely out of my control. I have no ability to, literally take the cancer out of her body or anything like that. That's not within the realm of my ability. I'm not a doctor. I have no knowledge in that field. But the beautiful part about understanding that you can only control about 1% of things. And what are these things? The first, they're kind of obvious. They might also not be obvious. So your actions, what you choose to do in a situation or what you choose to do, your reactions to things. So when things happen to you, how you react to that, your emotions, so your emotional state, your emotion in that moment, how you feel, that's another thing you actually have control over. You don't have to feel sad or angry or happy or anything like that. You can choose the emotion, which is actually pretty cool. That's something that as you get mastery in it, you'll start to understand that you don't, when you feel angry, you don't necessarily have to feel angry. You can take a step back out of that situation and recognize that you're feeling angry, but that's not necessarily you. It's just something that you're feeling in that moment. But the last thing that I wanted to say is perception. Again, I'm a huge person on perception. So you can control your perceptions of the world around you and how you perceive and see the world. So I'm again a proponent of seeing the world through a lens of logic and love, seeing things around you through a lens of love, just because that is really, I believe, the most powerful force in the universe. That's how God is able to create miracles, and the universe is able to source, able to create miracles. In your life, in my life, in every life, that's how this place was created. It was created with love. So with that, I kind of wanted to focus a little bit more on kind of that 1% we can control versus the 99%. So the 99% that you can't control, I honestly am a proponent, just surrender it. Don't even worry about it. As soon as you let that go and you're just like, this concept, one of my former bosses, and I hear this all the time, surrender the outcome. So literally surrender the outcome. That is one of the best things you can do. There's 99% of things you can't control. Surrender that to God. Surrender that to source, to whatever your belief system is. Just let it go. It's out of your control. Focus on the 1% of things that you can control. Your decisions, your reactions, your emotions, and your perception. There's no point on dwelling on things you have no power over. If you apply to a job and you're like super excited about it and you did the best you could, yet they didn't select you, let it go. It was just not meant to be. And it's funny enough, in Hebrew, there is no word for coincidence. And I actually heard that from one of my friends. So just focus on the 1%. Focus on the things that you can't control. Have that 1% be the 100% of the things that you focus on, because that's all that matters. You don't need to focus on if people like you. And honestly, it doesn't really matter if people like you, because there's always going to be people that disagree with you on things. I know there are people that disagree with me on what I'm saying here. So just accept that. There was always going to be someone that dislikes you. There's always going to be someone that disagrees with you. It's just how you perceive and react to that. That's all that matters. And the last thing I wanted to kind of dive on this 1% versus 99% is a situation is as you take it. So what I mean by that is you choose how you look at a situation. Your perception of that situation is how you look at it. So if you view yourself as a victim, you're going to look at yourself as a victim of that situation. Yes, bad things happen. Good things happen. It happens to everyone. Some people have it worse than others. I would say my story, I got adopted when I was younger. I never grew up knowing my father. I had a pretty weird family dynamic growing up. There was some tension in the family. I got raised with my grandparents, and I had a couple of really just not so good, you call them toxic friend groups that I dealt with. I made a ton of mistakes, but I don't compare myself to other people because I know that there's plenty of people that have had it way worse in life than I have had it. And the truth of the matter is how you look at a situation is ultimately what determines how you perceive that situation. So if you view your life as just being just a terrible, horrible, just crappy life, and there's no, the world is not, everything's horrible, the world's out to get me. I used to be the world like that, so I understand from firsthand experience that I literally thought at the age of 13, basically all the way through college or most of college, that the world was literally out to get me and nothing was ever going right, even though a lot of positive things did occur in my life. But I was just always down on everything. I was negative about everything. And that's what the world showed back to me. It was just the negatives that I was focusing on rather than looking and seeing the positives in the situation. And here's the thing. I don't necessarily believe in the concept of a bad situation. And the reason is because perception is reality. So yes, again, bad things happen. Bad things happen to good people. Okay? That's just a part of this world that we live in. There's nothing you can do about that. Remember, the 99% of things you can't control. You can't control your situation in its entirety. You can in the regards of your actions, reactions, emotions, and perceptions, but certain situations are completely out of your control. All you can do is choose how you want to react to that situation. And I'm a proponent of just looking at things through a positive lens of love. Bad shit happens to good people. That's just the way that the world works. It sucks, but it's just part of it. And when you can accept that, maybe this is a bad situation, but just look at it through a lens of positivity, maybe try to find that silver lining in things, that's really, that becomes beautiful, because then you really can, it just makes it easier to get through certain rough patches and rough times in your life. And I know I'm going to get a backlash about this, like people are in regards to like, what about, human trafficking and, indentured servitude and slavery that still exists in the world. And I'm like, that is a terrible thing that is occurring, and it's horrible. It's an atrocity. I don't agree with it at all. But again, bad situations happen to everybody, some more so than others. It's just how you perceive that situation and how you can turn it into something that's positive. And I know that there's some things that it's really hard to find a silver lining in, but you just got to try. You need to make the attempt, because in that faith of just having the ability to let go of the things that you can't control and just try to focus on things that you can, you really are sending out a signal to God, just like, please take care of me, protect me, and he will do that in return. So kind of want to leave it with this. So once you kind of start to understand the extent of your free will, you'll notice that you have a lot more power in your life than you ever imagined. You really are the awareness of your decisions. I'm not a proponent of thinking that you are your decisions and choices. Your decisions and choices determine your situation and determine your physical form, but they aren't you in your truest essence. You're the awareness of the things that you choose to do with your life. You're the free will. You're not the choice. So with that, when you start to, moving along in your spiritual journey, evolve spiritually, and really start listening to that divine spark, that intuition inside of you, the decision literally presents itself. It's pretty cool. It's one of those things where it takes practice and faith, and sometimes you're not always going to get it right, because you're not always going to be right. We're not, we aren't omnipotent creatures. We're not or omnipotent creatures. We're not omniscient. We can't see every potential solution in reality and know everything that's happening all around us at one time. But we can listen to that little gut feeling, that irk in the back of our mind telling us to go in a certain direction or make a certain decision. It won't make it for us because we have free will, but we can listen to that guide. And what I honestly would say is kind of a last thing in regards to that, leaving you with this. When making a decision, and this is something that I'm still working on and practicing, and I think it's a great thing. This is not an original idea of mine. This is just stuff I've read and seen and heard. whenever you're making a decision, I'm a big proponent of never making it from an emotional place. So what I mean by that is if you're angry, happy, sad, any emotion, fearful, any emotion under the spectrum of emotions, do not make a decision while you are in an emotional state. Even if you're happy, even if you're gleeful and like full of like, woo, like freaking out, like best thing ever, or like you're, definitely don't do it. Definitely never make a decision out of fear. That is one of the worst things you can do. In my opinion, I would never make a decision out of fear. But always make decisions in a calm state of mind. Always make a decision when you are in calm and collected. Because when you do that, you really are able to listen to that intuition. You're really able to listen to that inner voice, listen to that divine spark. And that makes the decision easier. Making decisions out of emotional places becomes incredibly, I don't want to say the word dangerous, but it's not as fruitful as you think it would be. A lot of people like to make decisions out of fear specifically, and that is one of the worst places that you can make a decision, because when you're living in fear, you're making a decision out of fear. That is not a good place, because when you make decisions out of fear, that typically leads to more fear. So always be in a calm state. One thing that I do personally is, if I need to make a decision in regards to a job or really anything, like if I, let me give you another example. Where when I bought this house, for example, the camera that I decided to buy, in my phone plan, or if I'm going to, cancel the Netflix subscription or whatever, any decision, I always like to sleep on it, because giving yourself kind of that rest and that time for your brain and your mind and your consciousness to reset really does make a difference, because it allows you to basically remain in a calm state of mind, move on to the next day, and then if you're in a calm state when you wake up, you can make the decision then. So I'll leave you with that. I thank you for joining today. Again, if you haven't hit that like button, I'd greatly appreciate it. I really am trying to get this channel to grow, get this message out to as many people as possible. If you aren't a subscriber as well, I would love for you to subscribe and hit that notification bell to see future content. I post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday right now. I'm gonna probably start posting sooner. Or not sooner, more frequently. But as of right now, I post Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I really enjoy making this content, and I absolutely appreciate all the people that tune in and listen to this. You really make this incredibly enjoyable. And I know that not everybody agrees with me on the things that I say, but if you want to leave a comment, I would happily respond to your comments. I love to have dialogue. Let's try to keep it civil to some degree, and really have a discussion and a conversation. So other than that, I hope you have a fantastic day, and God bless.